Hi guys, how are you? Now, let me first off start by saying that I have slacked off. So I'm calling myself out on my own bullshit. And I know you're probably like, oh my gosh, this is the first podcast I have ever listened to. So what are you talking about? Let me just fill you in, right? So I can sit here and I can tell you that what's going on in the world has been the reason why I haven't recorded a podcast in over a month. Yes, it's been a month and 2 days. Or I can sit here and tell you that it's because my kids are on summer break. I can sit here and tell you it's because of my business. I can sit here and tell you and give you every single reason, aka excuse, that I can come up with why I haven't recorded. The truth be told is just that I didn't record. I didn't open my voice. I may have done it in other areas of my life, but I know that there's somebody that was just waiting for this area to open up for the next recording, for the next podcast, for the next word, to maybe just have it all clicked, right? So I hope that this finds you at a time that you needed the most. I hope that this finds you at a time that maybe you were just about to give up. Maybe you were just about to give up on your marriage. Maybe you were just like, F the kids because it's getting to be too much. I am not a school teacher. Maybe you were just about to give up on your business. Maybe you took a really big hit during what was happening in the entire world. Maybe you were just about to give up. Maybe you were just about to give up in your health. I am just here to tell you, don't give up. Don't give up. And are you willing? And that's what I want to name this. Are you willing? Are you willing to not give up today? Are you willing to tell yourself to keep going today and tomorrow? Are you willing to stay in the present right now and be the best you that you can be today? Are you willing to live your life in excellence today, even though if you feel that maybe you gave it more yesterday or maybe that you can give it more? Are you willing to realize that you matter? Are you willing to realize that whatever is in your life right now and whatever you are doing in your life right now has purpose? Are you willing? So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. Are you willing? Are you willing to turn off the TV? Are you willing to turn off the TV and turn off the news and turn off the negative social media so you can focus on what you can give back instead of what you're taking or what that thing that you're watching is taking from you? Because the more that you watch the news, the more that you watch the negativity, the more that you watch the threads, the more that it's sucking the hope and the life out of you that is going to cause this thing to say, well, you know what? I'm just going to give it up. I'm just going to give up. I'm here to tell you, are you willing? And I'm here to ask you, are you willing to give up things in your life that you may not even realize are not adding value? And maybe you know that they're not adding value. Maybe you're binge watching on Netflix. Trust me, I've done it. I'm guilty. But when you know that something else in your life is taking a hit, are you willing to stop what you're doing to make it better? Are you willing to turn off the TV? Are you willing to write the plan to start your own business? Are you willing to turn off the TV to start the workout? And if you're not willing to turn off the TV, are you willing to switch your news for something more positive? Maybe you had goals for 2020. Maybe you had physical goals for 2020. But now you're living in such anxiety that all you can catch yourself is maybe binge eating on food, worrying all the time, and watching and being stuck and glued to the news. Are you willing to slowly give that up and in its place start something new? Are you willing to turn off the news for 30 minutes and turn on some worship? Are you willing to turn off the news for 30 minutes and start the workout? Are you willing to turn off the news and start your praise or read your devotional? Are you willing to turn off the news and push through the pain? Are you willing to turn it off and keep going? Are you willing to turn it off and focus on God? Let me give you a tip. Rule number 1, never make God number 2. Life will be much more challenging that way. Life will be much more less peaceful that way. Are you willing to turn off the TV while most aren't and focus on what you need to focus? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to pay? because it all comes with a price. Meaning, let me give you an example. If you're not the only one living in your home, but you know that you have to make a change, and maybe your spouse is like, no, leave that on. I want to know, leave it on, leave it on. Are you willing to stand up and say, no more, not in my house? As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to step out on faith? Are you willing to be brave today? Are you willing to ask yourself, you know what? I know that everybody around me is eating unhealthy, but I know what's going to happen if I don't stop. I know that I have generations of family, of issues, of diseases, of things that I know that if I don't stop now, I'm going to be next. And if it's not me, it's going to be someone that I love. Are you willing to put down the unhealthy foods? Are you willing to replace them with healthier habits? Because it's not the food, it's the habit. It's the habit that you're anxious, so you eat. It's the habit that you're depressed, so you feel the feeling, so then you drown it with a drug. And that drug is called food, right? And some people are like, well, it's better than alcohol, or it's better than actual drugs. It will still kill you. It will still kill you if you let it. Because when you get to a certain point, it becomes the addiction, right? Are you willing to go for a walk instead of drive everywhere? Are you willing to explore nature instead of just complaining that nothing in your life is changing? When was the last time that you walked outside? When was the last time that you looked up and you heard the birds and you smiled and you looked at the sky and you thanked God for everything around you that was created, including yourself, because you got to wake up today? Are you willing to take the stairs instead of taking the elevator today? And maybe you're asking yourself, well, I can't. I'm overweight. I run out of breath. Guess what? That was me. I was still willing to do it, even when I physically couldn't. Because in my mind, I had to push myself mentally in order for my physical self to catch up. Are you willing to feed your mind, not just your body? Are you willing to feed it? Because I can tell you this. The moment that you start, or maybe you haven't stopped, or maybe you don't know and you're like, what is she talking about, right? The moment that I realized that I was feeding my mind garbage, I started acting like it. I started being like it. I started to become like it. And I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to end up like that person. So I told myself, how can I add value? How can I feed right now? How can I feed myself so that I can feed someone else? And that's where these podcasts originated. Am I the best? No. But I know that I've been giving something so someone else can use it for them, not just to like listen and to be like, wow, that was a great message, but maybe it's going to activate something in you. Maybe it's finally going to make the light bulb go off. Maybe it's going to allow that shit to click for it to be like, wow, if she can do it, so can I. If this is how she talks, I know I'm a great speaker. Maybe it's going to activate and stir up something in you that is like, all I needed was this. This is what I was looking for. This is what I needed. This is the community. This is what I like. This is what brings me joy. This is what I've been praying for, but it's showing up in a different form in your current life right now. Are you willing to look at opportunity? Are you willing to see, your best friend, that may have started an opportunity and she's begging you because she sees your potential, but you're not just willing to say, you know what, I'm just willing to listen. I'm just willing to listen. Maybe the opportunity is for you. Maybe it's not. But are you willing to make that person happy and put their needs above yours? Because they're so eager to give you this opportunity, because they know that once you realize that it is for you, like I did, it will be game over. Are you willing to realize that? Are you willing to realize that you can activate your hidden potential? Are you willing to realize it? It's not the town that you live in. It's not your boss. It's not the job that you're in. It's not your spouse. It's not your best friend. It's not your church. It's not your situation. It's your mindset. Are you feeding it daily? Are you willing to feed it daily? Because I can ask you if you're feeding it and you can tell me no, but are you willing to feed it? Are you willing to listen? If somebody sends you a podcast, if somebody sends you a sermon, if somebody sends you a worship song, if somebody just sends you a link of positivity, are you willing to say, you know what? They thought of me. Why haven't I thought of myself? Are you willing? Are you willing to feed a light instead of darkness? Are you willing to be the light instead of darkness? The words are so together, but they mean so many different things. Are you willing to be better so then you can give better? I get so many, like when I ask for goals in the type of business that I'm in, like, I ask my team, like, what are your goals? Or I've asked other people that are not in my team. A lot of people tell me, I want to retire my parents. I want to do this for this person. Let me tell you something. It becomes a lot more challenging sometimes to do it for someone else when you haven't yet done it for yourself. You're praying for someone else, but it's harder for you to pray for yourself, to actually believe that your prayer is going to work. And when you can believe that your prayer is going to work, you would pray for other people with no doubt in your mind, like, God came through for me, God's going to come through for you. Are you willing? Are you willing to stop settling? Are you willing? Are you willing to stop settling? Because I read this so clear the other day, and my husband and I were like, wow. Are you willing? When you settle for crumbs, you'll always be starving. When you settle for crumbs, you'll always be starving. Put that and insert that in any given aspect of your life right now. Your business, your marriage, your friendships. Are you changing who you are in every room that you walk in because you feel like you have to fit into every person? I've done it. It wasn't fun for me. So guess what I went and did? I went back to being my true, raw self. And guess what happened? People loved that more. When you settle for the crumbs, you'll always be starving. When you settle for the bare minimum, you'll never be able to see what you truly have to give because you're just settling for it. You're just settling for it. Are you willing to set your own standard versus what other people are telling you? Are you willing to use your platform to put out, peace? Because I know it's just like this. Like, you can see someone that is not, as financially fit, as financially wealthy, as financially in the good place, but they have such peace, they have such anointing, they have such grace, they have such kindness. They have these gifts that God has sent them. And then you have someone else that has the money, that has the looks, that has the lifestyle over social media, but is dying inside. And that's why a lot of people commit suicide. That's why a lot of people you see going crazy. That's why I can't wrap my head around why when people win the lottery, most of those people die. And it's not like because of age, because the ones that I've seen, at least growing up, I'm like, wow, this person was super young. Like, why did they commit suicide? Are you willing to stop settling for the bare minimum in your life? And are you willing, this is the next question, are you willing to stop giving the bare minimum? There's only so much sometimes that you're giving, right? Like, let's say at your job, you're watching the clock, you're giving your bare minimum because you're like, I'm just ready to get out of here. But then you're expecting that promotion. You're expecting for the boss to choose you when you're not willing to stay extra any day. When you're just like there to show up, pick up your paycheck and bounce. Are you willing to activate yourself without having to have other people always activate you? That's what I'm asking you. Are you willing? Are you willing to not just settle for minimal goals? Because you know you can achieve them. That's why you're setting them. Or are you willing to say, you know what, I want to really tap into my true full potential. I don't care how long it takes me because it's a process. It's a process. It's not perfection. Instead of just focusing on the minimal experience. Are you willing? Ask yourself that. Am I willing today? If you're listening to this in the day or if you're listening to this in the night. Ask yourself the next day, am I willing today? Get up with the mindset to say, am I willing to do it? Yes. What am I willing to do? How much am I willing to do? How can I do this? What can you do? How can you be of value? Are you willing to use your platform to bring the light? Again, there's so many people with big platforms over social media. And I can't sit here and tell you what to post, what to not post, what to do, what to say, what not to do, I can't tell you that. I don't know the reason God gave you a big platform and he gave somebody else a smaller one. I don't know. I don't understand, and I don't want to. It's not in my lane. It's not for me to discover. It's not for me to announce. But that goes for other people. When things happen, it's not up to you to judge why someone else didn't post something. It's not up to you to say, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do that? Or why did you? It's not up to you. But in the same breath, are you willing to use your platform for peace? Are you willing to use it for positivity? Are you willing to use it to bring awareness? Some people are more passionate about bringing awareness. I think the reason for that, because I guess I don't want to say ignorant, but I was not educated so much in this area, is because, and it hit me clear, light as day the other day, because even if you're not the one going through it, it doesn't mean that it's not relevant. It doesn't mean that it's not happening to people out there. It doesn't mean that it's not real life right now. It doesn't mean that it's not happening to your friends or to your family or to people that you love or people that you know, to your teachers, to whoever, to the people that take care of you or are going to take care of you. Just because you're not the one suffering right now, one, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be next. And two, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. In the same breath, like that song that says, even when I can't see him, he's working. Even when I'm not in the problem right now, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. Because if you don't look at it, you'll never solve it. If you don't look at it, then it gives you a reason to never acknowledge it. Oh, well, that's not my problem. I didn't start it. Well, why don't you be the solution? And it has taken me time to become educated in certain things and certain topics in areas of, that are going currently right now, especially here where I live, especially with race, with racism. And it's crazy to me because even if I am not currently living it, it doesn't mean that it's not affecting me. It doesn't mean that it's not affecting the people that I love around me the most, or that it doesn't affect them every day. So even if you feel like you don't know, or even if you feel like, well, whatever it is that you think, don't be ignorant. Be a student. At least learn to educate yourself. At least learn to add some value and say, you know what, I am willing to learn, and I am willing to admit where I am and what I can add right now. Are you willing to use your influence to water people? Are you willing to use your influence to reach other people? Are you willing to use your influence for positivity? Are you willing to use your influence to give? Are you willing to use your influence to be intentional in how you show up? Are you willing to? Are you willing to? Something that I was listening to today, it gave some steps. And these perfectly align with things that I always say, or maybe I don't say. But it was talking about acknowledging. They put it in the term of epiphany. Acknowledging the fact that you don't know everything. Acknowledging the fact that maybe you are in a great place right now, but not everybody is. Acknowledging the fact that maybe you have a lot to give, even when you don't feel like you do. Even when you don't feel like you have a lot. Acknowledging the fact, having the epiphany, saying to yourself, God gave me this season for a reason. What is my lesson in it? How can I grow in it? How can I give in it? And then he will multiply you. Being intentional. How can you be intentional about what you're passionate for? Because someone else's passion may not look like yours. So the way that they go about it, and the way that they go about creating advocacy, and the way that they go about showing, current situations or current, what is happening in the world right now may not be the same way as you. But are you willing to be intentional to make sure that what you want to say and do is coming to fruition? Are you willing to build those bridges? Are you willing to take yourselves out of situations that were no longer serving you? That's hard. That's hard, y'all. It's hard leaving people. It's not leaving them. It's just maybe you've outgrown the situation. Maybe you've outgrown the habits. Maybe you've outgrown maybe your friends, want to go out partying every single weekend, and you're like, no, I like to be home. I like the lifestyle that I'm living. I like to be healthy, because if you go out, you're going to be unhealthy. So that you're not wanting to put yourself in that situation. Are you willing to be intentional and let them know, hey, when I'm around you, I don't act right. When I'm around you, I am who I was 10 years ago. I'm sorry. I love you. But if you want to see me, we'll go somewhere else. We ain't going to the bar tonight, because I don't like who I was then, but I like who I've become now. Are you willing to have those hard conversations? They're hard. Are you willing to ask yourself, why am I here, and be okay with it? That's the part. Why am I here? What can I do next? And am I okay with it? Are you willing to love God for why He's giving you the things He's giving you, not for what He's giving you? Maybe He gives different people different things, and you're looking all around you, and comparison is the thief of joy, and you're like, I don't know how to manage this, and then it starts creeping into you, and then anxiety sinks in, and then you start getting upset, and then you start getting sad, and then if you're like me, you pull. When you're getting pulled in 59 different directions, but at the end of the day, it's not people pulling you, it's because you instill this thing into your mind, and the enemy talks you into it, that you pull yourself off completely from a great circle, from the healthy habits that you've done. That's why you see so many people go back to being unhealthy. That's why you see so many people go back to their old circle of influence. That's why you see, from personal experience, people go back to comfortable relationships, because you're like, well, you know what? F it. It wasn't working when I'm trying, so I might as well stay with what I know. Are you willing? Are you willing to have empathy? Are you willing to show up? Showing up, because when you show up, you love. Something I heard today. You love not just yourself, but you love the people around you. You love your goals. You're willing to be more. You're willing to allow the uncomfortable to grow you instead of hinder you. You're willing to allow yourself. Are you willing? Are you willing to allow yourself to be better? You have to sometimes get really uncomfortable and go through some processes in your life, just like how the caterpillar has to go through a long process. Just like the eagle has to go through a long process to become that beautiful thing, that amazing butterfly, that thing that is free, that thing that flies with grace so effortlessly. But they had to go through a process because they were willing to go through it to, at the end, activate themselves to their full potential. So, are you willing to have more purpose than have position? Are you willing to serve in your current season? Whatever that is for you. Maybe serving for you right now just means that you're trying to be healthy, your best self, girl. Maybe you're like, you know what? I just started my 2020 right now. I'm going to pretend it's January 1st, 6 months in. I'm going to go ahead and do my New Year's resolution right now. Are you willing to do that? Or are you going to wait until 2021 to say, you know what? Maybe let's try again. Why? Are you willing? Are you willing to ask yourself, how can I make life better for someone else? For me, okay, how can I be better mentally so that I can make it better for someone else? Because if I'm not in the right state of mind, I'll just drag people with me in my misery. I'll just drag people with me in my anxiety. I'll just drag people with me in my depression. I'm not telling you to not talk to someone. I'm asking yourself, are you willing to feed yourself positive? Are you willing to get out of bed when you know staying in bed is not going to serve you today? Because you know what that does for you. You know that it causes you to, be anxious. You know that it causes you to not love the way that you feel. You know that you want to be more and you want to give more, but you're asking yourself, how? Are you willing to be intentional about it? Showing up is just 50% of the work. Showing up is showing up. You showed up. A lot of people don't show up. Are you willing? So I hope that this finds you guys at a place that you're willing to listen to this, that you are willing to just go through this whole 20 something minutes with me. I hope that this finds you at a place that you're willing to write down the things that stuck out to you the most. I hope that this finds you at a place that you're willing to be brave enough to break some generational curses. I hope that this finds you at a place where you're like, you know what, I'm willing to not let the depression take over me because I'm going to be intentional about being better. It's not that it's not there. It's just that you became stronger. It's just that your walk became better. It's just that you started trusting more. It's just that you learned that you were willing to not quit and not give up. I hope that this finds you at a place that you share this with someone else that maybe needs it or maybe doesn't. Or maybe you don't even know that they need it, but you were like, I'm willing to share because I know somebody out there needs this. I hope that this finds you at a place of love. I hope that this finds you at a place where you're like, wow, this is exactly what I needed. Now, are you willing to take some action? Are you willing to grow? Are you willing to start the side business? Are you willing to write the plan? Are you willing to start the workouts? Are you willing to eat healthy? Are you willing to be better? I hope that this finds you when you need it the most. I cannot wait to catch up with you guys. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to continue to pour whatever I learn and whatever God puts into me to be able to give it back to you. So I hope that you are willing to give today. I hope that you are willing to give your best today and to give in excellence today. And like I always tell you guys, I always say, water your focus and drown your fears. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one.